Welcome back to Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business. Looking at the home of the Golden State Warriors, where they'll be through Sunday at least when they take on the Memphis Grizzlies in the regular season finale. 6-game homestand that we all pointed to, and so far they're 3-0 on the 6-game homestand, but they play the Phoenix Suns here on the back end of a back-to-back, and the Warriors are 5-9 on the back end of a back-to-back, so they have some work to do tonight. But let's revisit last night with Willie D. Wright, Bonte Hill, Monty Poole to join us in a second here. Last night was wild. All right, Warriors are up 18 there in the fourth quarter. They got into the bonus of Utah Jazz, that is. A lot of fouls by the Golden State Warriors, and they hang on for dear life with a late three by Steph and Curry. But to get that win, there's less pressure on tonight, I think, for the Warriors to get that win against Phoenix.
Big-time win last night versus a big-time team. I know they were missing their backcourt, but the Warriors, they came out with the mindset, we got to take care of business. We have to protect home court. And I thought they did a great job. Jordan Clarkson got hot at the end of the game, but they stayed calm, and, you know, Steph Curry came down in the clutch.
Yeah, we talked about a potential playoff preview. It had a playoff atmosphere last night. The Warriors built that 18-point lead, as you mentioned. The Jazz climbed back in on the back of Jordan Clarkson. But again, at the last play, the poise and composure of a championship caliber Draymond, Kevon Looney, and Steph obviously making that shot. But here we come down in the drag situation. Draymond gets a nice early screen here. Steph comes off. He actually gets a really good look. Nice little step back, a shot he, often knocks down. But you see, Darrell, everyone almost a sigh of relief. Yeah. These guys up on the top here, they need to get back in there and get the rebound. And here, just a beautiful, composed play by Looney. Didn't think of anything but getting the ball to their playmaker. And that's, Royce O'Neal is out there, which you want to try and keep the ball out of Steph's hands, so he's denying. And just a beautiful, soft bounce pass in rhythm, catch and shoot. I don't think anyone in the world thought Steph was going to miss that shot. 2 for 12, it doesn't matter. He got it in rhythm. And Draymond's comments after the game, we've seen it all season long. We've seen it their entire careers. Draymond's always going to get the ball to Steph Curry first and foremost.
And Darrell, Kevon Looney with the unsung play of the day, grabbing that offensive rebound, his third straight game with double-digit rebounds, and the wherewithal to find Draymond Green, get it back to Steph Curry, and hold it off. And his defensive play at the end there, Wiggins guarding Clarkson there, Looney goes up with verticality there and makes it tough on Jordan Clarkson. Very unsung play by Kevon Looney on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, Looney been big time. He understands. Coach Curry, obviously we can all see that. He trusts him because he's been in the trenches with these guys. He knows his role. He's going to do it well, and he's not going to make many mistakes being an undersized 5-man. He's been doing a great job on the defensive end, guarding these bigger centers and using his verticality, using his speed and his length to disrupt a lot of these big-time centers that we all know.
Winning plays by the champs, as Millie said here. Darrell, good breakdown there. We'll bring in Monty Poole in just a second here, but still to come. What is CP3 wearing there, Darrell? You got to help us out here. Willie and I know nothing about that one.
That's a European tuxedo, man.
We'll give some credit to a long-time Warriors nemesis in a second here, and we'll find out how much Chris Paul is turning around the Phoenix Suns. Let's bring in our main man, Monty Poole, Warriors insider here at NBC Sports Bay Area. And Monty, first of all, I don't know what CP3's wearing. Monty, you could probably pull it off. Darrell could pull it off. Willie and I are like, no way. But what could a win for the Warriors do tonight? How important is this win tonight, or a win tonight against the Phoenix Suns for the Warriors?
Well, first of all, I got to shout out Chris Paul for that Euro tux. Okay, now.
Come on, Monty. With the 2 chains too, Monty. Come on. I want to see you in downtown Oakland rocking that one of these days.
No. But you think about this, though, and it's been 3 years and 5 months since the Warriors won back-to-back games against top 4 teams in either conference. And that was 2018 you're talking about. So they were really good then, and that's when they beat both Cleveland with LeBron and a really good Toronto team, back-to-back games, but they had a night in between. So they're trying to do it tonight on back-to-back nights, and they haven't done anything close to that all year in such a long time. I think at this stage, after beating Utah the way they did, doesn't matter how they did it. If they can beat Phoenix, I don't think you can say anything else than this is the high point of the season, because it's the last week of the season. Every game matters, and 2 of the best teams in the league, the top 2 records in the NBA, come into their house and they take care of business. A split would be good, be okay. But if they were able to sweep these 2 teams, yeah, I think you can safely say the Warriors have hit their peak so far this season.
Monty, Steve Kerr's gone to an 8-man rotation. a playoff type rotation. Do you think they're deep enough for this run and then into the play-in tournament and hopefully on into the playoffs?
Not with 8. They'll add a body in the next 48 hours, maybe 2. And Eric Paschal will be back at some point. Damian Lee will be back at some point. So you'll get more bodies. You'll get reinforcements. And by this time next week, when you're looking at the play-in game, I think you're looking at maybe 11 players that'll be available. The rotation will still be 8 or 9, I think, but you may see some different people in the rotation. So at this point, you can see that it's been a real struggle in the sense of just keeping the rotation tight. They're getting it done because they're getting contributions from different players other than Steph and Draymond and Loon. Those guys have been consistent. But then you have a Wiggins game. You have a Jordan Poole game. You have a Kent Bazemore game. So last night, both Jordan Poole and Kent Bazemore came up huge. Wiggins wasn't so strong last night. So that's been the key, is getting something from guys other than the 3 stars, the 3 guys who've been there for the entire duration of this run.
Monty, do you think we have any chance to see Kelly Oubre back out there and trying to go out there and battle with his teammates in this playoff run?
Depends on how long they play. He's done for the regular season. And if they get past the play-in game, then yeah, I think there's a possibility. They keep saying no surgery. As long as there's no surgery, that means there's a possibility. Obviously, if it's surgery, he is done for weeks and weeks and weeks to go.
Good stuff as always, Monty. Good to see you here in studio. We'll check up with you a little bit later after the Warriors take on the Phoenix Suns. And let's take a look at the scoring leaders here. We had a lot of fun yesterday looking at Kent Bazemore, Bradley Beal going back and forth with Kent Bazemore. But updated scoring leader, Stephen Curry, 31.9. If he averages 21 points per game over the next 3 and Bradley Beal doesn't play, the scoring title is all Stephen Curry's. He'll join Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Will Chamberlain as the only players to have multiple championships, multiple MVPs, multiple scoring titles. So Steph Curry right there. And look, he scored 36 last night. And we kind of just yawned at it. It was like, 36 is whatever. And he had to work for it. But that's just how amazing he's playing right now, Darrell. 36. And people just kind of scoffed at it saying, yeah, all right, that was an average night for Stephen Curry.
Yeah, I think when guys don't see Steph Curry be super efficient from the 3-point line or from the field, they think other. But sitting here watching how he impacts the game with or without the basketball, cutting to the basket, coming off screens like you see right there, it's still amazing to see. 36 points on an off night. Listen, I'd take that any day.
And the Utah Jazz are the best team in the NBA.
Yep.
And they're a tremendous defensive team. And I thought they did a tremendous job against Steph. You see his numbers there. Human for Steph Curry. But he finishes 3 for 13. But that third shot was the dagger. And it was amazing. He did it off the ball again.
Yep.
Off an offensive rebound, Kevon Looney to Draymond Green, and he relocated and just catch and shoot. It's just such a clutch, incredible winning shot.
How do you think Phoenix guards him tonight? How do they defend Steph Curry? We saw Rose O'Neal last night. We've seen teams try to go bigger on Stephen Curry. Is it going to be Bridges? We're going to see Javon Carter off the bench. How do the Suns open conference standings? And for more, let's kick it over to one half of the Warriors Outsiders, Grant Liffman, and a very special guest.
Thanks, Bonte. For a closer look at the Warriors' playoff seeding probabilities, let's bring in NBC News national correspondent Steve Kornacki. And Steve, the Warriors clinched a spot in the play-in tournament with their victory over the Utah Jazz last night. And now the attention turns to a tight race between them and the Memphis Grizzlies for the 8th spot. How do you see the probabilities playing out?
Yeah, and what a difference a well-timed Steph Curry three-pointer can make, because not only clinching that play-in spot last night, as you say, for the Warriors, but that difference between staying in that 8th spot and falling behind the Grizzlies, who are still a half game out. Now, Grizzlies won last night. Warriors won last night. Warriors remain a half game ahead of the Grizzlies. And I don't think I need to tell Warriors fans, but we'll remind you just in case, if you end up north of this line in that 7-8 game, it gives you 2 cracks at it in the play-in round. If you play the Lakers there as the 8 seed and win, you get the 7 seed in the playoffs. If you lose, you could still play the winner of the 9-10 game and get in the playoffs. So you get 2 shots at it if you're above this line. If you're below this line, you're going to get 1 shot at it. So huge for the Warriors last night to hang on and win that game. And in terms of Warriors, Grizzlies, who's going to end up there 8, who's going to end up there 9, let's take a look here. These are their their remaining schedules, and what you see is the computer model we've been looking at, what it thinks their chances of winning each game is. And you can see here, Grizzlies with 4 left, Warriors with 3 left. Obviously, they play each other to end the season. Now, you can see the computer model really likes the Warriors playing at home. It thinks the Warriors have a great chance of winning that game. Now, maybe you, if you're a fan, maybe you're a little, I don't know, that could be a really close game. So you can make up your own mind on what the odds are. But the most probable thing that could happen, playing all of this out, the most probable thing that could happen is the season will come down to this game. The 8 seed will come down to this game because the winner of this game, whichever team wins this game, will get the tiebreaker between the 2 teams. So what that essentially means, if you go back to these standings here, if you come into the last game of the year, if these 2 teams are within 1 game of each other, they could be tied in the standings. The Warriors could be a game up. The Grizzlies could be a game up. If they're within 1 game of each other, then that Grizzlies-Warriors game to end the season, that will decide who gets the 8 seed. The winner would get the 8. The loser would get the 9. So most likely, the most probable scenario, I should say, is that it comes down to 1 game between those 2 teams for the 8th.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's for the 8th spot, so whoever claims the 8th spot has to play the 7th seed. How is it looking for that 7th seed?
Yeah, and so that's the other thing we should mention here. Again, this is that all-important line between 8 and 9. But the Warriors, they're still not eliminated from actually overtaking the Lakers and getting the 7th spot. Now, the Lakers will have the tiebreaker against the Warriors, so the Warriors really need a lot to break their way. They need a lot to break against the Lakers. The odds of the Warriors actually overtaking the Lakers, you're looking at like less than 1% that they'll actually overtake them. But it's not entirely impossible. The Warriors could end up leapfrogging LA and getting the 7th. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is the Lakers are not eliminated yet from moving into the playoffs and bumping Portland here, or even potentially bumping Dallas back into the play-in round. The chances of the Lakers coming in here and knocking out either Portland or Dallas, probably about 20%, about a 20% shot the Lakers could move up. And again, there's probably about a 1% chance the Lakers end up falling back and the Warriors move a little bit ahead there.
So the probabilities say the chances are it might be Warriors against the Lakers in that first play-in game. That, I mean, the NBA is going to be definitely happy about that. All right, Steve, thanks so much for your insight as always.
You got it.
This Sportsnet Central update is presented by Atlantis Casino Resort Spa Reno.
All eyes on the Memphis Grizzlies tonight as they host the Dallas Mavericks. It's a back-and-forth affair. Dylan Brooks giving the Memphis Grizzlies the lead early. And you see here the Mavericks coming down the court. Who's that, Finney Hardaway Jr.?
Josh Wright, Richardson.
There you go. Josh Richardson. Haven't heard from him in a while. There's Dylan Brooks right there with the 3. And the Grizzlies with a slim lead in the third quarter. Ja had 13 at the half. Brooks with 10 at the half. Tim Hardaway Jr., 15 points, 3 for 5 from 3, a potential target for the Golden State Warriors. He's been playing some good basketball here. But Memphis, they have this game, then they have a back-to-back against the Kings, and, of course, the Sunday finale against the Golden State Warriors. So looking at Dallas here, they're trying to get to the 5 seed and get on that side of the bracket to where they could avoid the L.A. teams, Mully.
A lot of playoff implications in all these games coming down the wire. It's exciting. And we're going to have the last game, Memphis and the Warriors, here at the Chase Center. So it's going to be really interesting to keep an eye on that game tonight and to see how the Warriors can do against the Suns. And
better believe these people are listening and knowing where they stand. And I'm pretty sure these coaches are really emphasizing we must win. Get these wins. So I don't want to say get comfortable, but know we're in a good place to play a good matchup once the playoffs come.
All right, more than just a few playoff spots are on the line here. These last few games of the regular season, a spot in the NBA draft lottery is also in play. We'll break that down later on with the latest probabilities in the show here. But first, let's look at the projected Suns starting lineup presented by Ford. And look, they have a special backcourt. We know that. Let's look at the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge or the beautiful Bay Area day. Chris Paul, Devin Booker in that backcourt. They are ballers. We know that. All-stars. Mikal Bridges is a very solid player out of Villanova. He's picked up Torrey Craig at the deadline. Torrey Craig, former Denver Nugget. He's a solid defender. And DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is very interesting as well. Let's hear from Monty Williams, who had a very interesting motivational tactic for his team getting ready for the playoffs.
talking to Jay earlier today, and he mentioned that you gave the team screws as a kind of symbol to tighten things up before the end of the season. Just what was the thought process behind that, and how did you come up with that idea?
Well, I think every team goes through segments of the season where things get a bit loose. And from time to time, I'll do something goofy just to get their attention. And it's just, time to tighten up the screws in every area of our program. Playing more consistent, understanding, what teams are trying to do against you, the spacing, playing in 0.5, knowing what to do when they take away your first option, having a high level of game plan discipline going into the game is going to be important for us. So it's just that time of the year. I'm one of many coaches that are saying the same thing. It's just time to tighten up and keep it tight and maintain that level of play as we get ready for tonight and going forward.
All right, let's give a little credit courtesy of our great friends at Provident Credit Union. You see the stats here for Devin Booker and Chris Paul. They're playing at a high level. Devin Booker, one of the best young stars in the league. He gets buckets. Of course, last year in the bubble, they went 8-0, and then Chris Paul here. But you heard from Monty Williams. He gave the team screws to get ready here because they needed to tighten things up. Now, my crew here is actually screwing some things in. Darrell's on the court with the flathead. Willie's got the Phillips screwdriver here. So what are you guys tightened up here? What's going on?
Monty Williams is a big-time leader. So whatever he brings out, I'm all in on that.
All in.
He's a great coach, great guy, knows how to motivate his guys. You saw those numbers, though.
Yep.
This is a dynamic backcourt. Devin Booker is a big-time scorer. Efficiency is there. But Chris Paul is what makes the big difference. He puts everyone in their proper roles. He gets them the right shots. Mikal Bridges is a 3-and-D guy. But Chris Paul, you see those numbers, and he's at 50, 40, 90. So a Hall of Fame player has turned his Phoenix Suns franchise around, not by himself, but pretty close to it.
Right, and 2 years in a row, he's went to a team with some young fellas, and he's turned everything around. But the one thing, when I talked to him a few months ago, he said he can't just talk and be a leader like that. He has to show these young fellas. So I have a lot of respect for Chris Paul because he's been doing it for a while now. He takes great care of his body, and everybody on this team, these young fellas, are following his lead.
And as you guys have screwdrivers in your hands, you could say that Chris Paul has tightened his ship up here in Phoenix this season after an 8-0 bubble run.
Well, he just got tremendous vision. Here you see a double drag with Bridges and DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton rolls hard for the lob to suck the defense in. Nice finish there. He had Bridges out for the three-point shot. He wanted that hook pass.
And Chris Paul reminds me a lot of Draymond when he's on the offensive end. He understands rotations. That's why he's a great passer. He knows if you cheat a little bit, he knows where you're coming from. So right here, this little interchange with Bridges, cutting hard to the basket, wide open because James Wiseman had to come out.
And he's a typical great player. He operates in small spaces with composure and poise. Looked like he was trapped there. That was pretty much Sacramento defense. But nonetheless, a Chris Paul assist.
No doubt.
Yeah, and coming off a double screen right here, now you got to pick your poise. You got to either guard Chris Paul the ball, or he's going to be able to find, like I said, he knows rotations, find one of the best young shooters in the game right now. And one thing about Chris Paul, I'll say, you got to pick your poise. You're either going to make him a playmaker or a scorer. You can't let him do both. You got to choose what you want him to do against you.
Pick your poison.
Pick your poison.
And we've said this a lot about Steph Curry, all these great players. You can actually play great defense, and he's going to find the right option. So right there, JTA did the right thing by tagging in the middle. He took the next option, corner three for Devin Booker.
Hall of Fame talent, Hall of Fame player, Hall of Fame IQ there. We've seen Draymond Green last night have a solid game. In case you missed Draymond Green, he provided some highly entertaining quotables last night. You might be surprised by his definition of defense. That's at Chase Center. They were underdogs last night, 2-point dogs last night. The Utah, they did win and cover with the over-under set at 231.5. Suns are smoking hot against the spread, hitting over 65% of the time in their last 79 games. And for more information like this, check out NBC Sports Edge to try to win yourself some cash. And now let's welcome in Warriors reporter Kareth Burke, powered by Cisco WebEx. And look, this homestand's been a lot of fun so far. 6-game homestand Warriors so far win their first 3. Tonight will be tough. They're 5-9 on the back end of back-to-backs. However, there's a certain formula here for the Golden State Warriors, Carrot, that Steve Kerr has found that has helped his team thrive in not only non-Steph Curry minutes, but also when Steph Curry's on the floor.
Yeah, perhaps you noticed this. When Juan Toscano-Anderson and Draymond Green are on the floor together, good things tend to happen. Not to mention, Juan has earned Draymond's respect because he's a hustle player and he's tough. Remember when Juan soared over that scorer's table in Boston? Draymond was one of the first guys to say, "That's my dog." So with the Warriors top 5 in defensive efficiency, I asked Steve Kerr, what does he notice when JTA and Draymond are playing together?
I think I've said this, but Juan is kind of a mini Draymond in a lot of ways, just with his brain, his versatility, his understanding of the game. The two of them work really well together. You know, they take away angles, they force bad passes. They both rebound, they both hit bodies on the glass, so you're not getting a lot of people sneaking in for offensive boards. They really work well together. It's fun to watch.
A mini Draymond, that's a big compliment, and the Warriors need that defense, that 1-2 punch. And guys, you kind of have a feeling that it might be time for JTA to get rewarded. Maybe something, not a two-way contract, maybe a little conversion there to the full NBA deal. I know the Warriors, like all of his teammates, and Steve Kerr have said Juan is an NBA player, and hopefully he'll be around this team for several years.
You know, Kev Durrell said it when Juan T jumped over the scorer's table in Boston. Yeah. That was the night he secured the bag. He will get that NBA bag, no doubt about it, Kev. Good stuff. We'll talk to you in a post-game show. And Juan T, as we see him walk into the arena, still looks like a guy on a two-way contract, just walking into the gym with some sweats and a T-shirt. I like that nice little chill look. Just coming in, just chilling. No three-piece suits, none of that stuff. No Louis Vuitton. Juan T. Durrell's been playing at a high level. Last night, very quiet game, but he had an impact. 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He was all over the court for the Golden State Warriors last night.
Juan, he's going to do a bunch of things that don't show up in the stat sheet. He's going to make the extra pass. He's going to dive on the floor for loose balls. We've seen what he did in Boston. And he's going to be that guy on the other end, just like a Draymond Green. He's going to be vocal. He's going to be in rotation. So Juan is one of those guys that Coach Kerr can trust because he's not going to make a lot of mistakes. And he knows he's going to play within the offense. So I think he's been playing some great basketball since he's been back from that concussion, and his only way is up for Juan now.
He's going to make winning plays. He's always going to compete. He's going to bring physicality, energy, effort. And probably the most important thing that's happened for JTA this season is what Kerr said. He's gained the respect and trust of Steve Kerr, and maybe as importantly with Draymond Green and Steph Curry. And he knows how to figure out, no matter what lineup he's with, he makes good things happen. So his IQ is there. He's got a great feel for the game. And I think he's an underrated skill player. He can knock down a three-point shot. He's always in the right place. He's a good passer. So, yeah, I always felt he was Matt Barnes, but I can see the Draymond comparison because of his versatility offensively and defensively.
4 steals last night in the big 3 in that game last night against the Utah Jazz. We'll talk more about Juan T later as we look at the starting lineups of the Golden State